Welcome to the Bitcoin Boomer Show. Here's your host, the Bitcoin Boomer himself, Gary Leland.
And welcome to the Bitcoin Boomer Show. I'm your host, Gary Leland, and I am a boomer. Actually, I'm a Bitcoin boomer. And this is the Bitcoin Boomer Show. This isn't a Bitcoin Boomer Show because it's for boomers. This is a Bitcoin Boomer Show because I'm the Bitcoin Boomer. So don't turn away thinking you're not old enough to enjoy the show. You certainly are. If you're old enough to buy Bitcoin, which anyone's old enough to buy Bitcoin, you're old enough to enjoy this show. We're just trying to educate you about Bitcoin on this show, bringing great guests that can talk about points about Bitcoin, basically people from the Bitcoin world. On today's show, we have DJ Valerie B. Love coming up after the break, and we'll be talking to her about Bitcoin. But Stephanie, you get everything ready for the show after looking at Valerie's bio and her site and everything. Thoughts?
So I noticed that she has a .orgs, so an organization called Bitcoin for Peace. So I'm really excited to hear about that, what they do. And she's a DJ, so I don't think we've had a DJ on the show yet. Or if we have, sorry, welcome back. I got excited.
You're right. This is our first DJ. You're right about that for sure. And I want to find out, I kind of know about bitcoinforpeace.org, but there's more information that I can also learn about Bitcoin for Peace. That's for sure. You know, but like I said, we bring on great guests on this show, try to mix it up, bring different people. But one thing they all have in common is that they all are talking about Bitcoin. They've all discovered Bitcoin, and they actually realize the use cases for Bitcoin. There are so many use cases for Bitcoin, as we'll talk about during this show. Back in 1971, Nixon took us off the gold standard. Until 1971, the dollar was backed by gold. Since 1971, it has been backed by nothing. So that is why we are $34 trillion in debt right now. And the interest, just the interest on our debt is $1 trillion a year. So that's a pretty high amount of money. Actually, it's so much money, it's hard to even fathom what $1 trillion would be by itself. The interest would be, much less the debt of $34 trillion that goes up every day. But we'll talk about all those things and more with our guest, DJ Valerie B. Love, right after these words from our sponsor. So please stay tuned, get on the horn, tell anyone you know about Bitcoin to come listen to this or watch this show. And we'll be right back after these words from our sponsor. See you in a minute. And welcome back to the Bitcoin Boomer Show. Before we go on with our guest today, I do want to make a point. I produce these shows with the help of my staff over here to tell you about Bitcoin, to educate you about Bitcoin. I don't have any Bitcoin to sell you. I don't want to sell you any Bitcoin. So I don't want you thinking, here comes a show where they're going to talk about this and then try to sell me some at the end. That's not the goal here. The goal here is just to educate you. And maybe when you find out enough about Bitcoin from the great guests we have and the conversations we have, you'll decide you want to dig a little deeper on your own. And maybe you'll have enough information to make a knowledgeable decision on whether you should get Bitcoin yourself. Okay, just want to make sure you knew what we're trying to accomplish here on the show. Now, on today's show, our guest is DJ Valerie B. Love. I've seen Valerie play in Miami, or DJ in Miami. I guess it's playing. I'm not sure if I'm using the right term there, but I've seen her DJ in Miami. I've seen her DJ in LA. She is not only a great person, she's a great DJ. Her shows are fantastic, and she's a Bitcoiner. So welcome to the show, Valerie. How are you doing?
Hey, aloha. Thanks, Gary. And thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here and talk with you and your audience about peace, love, Bitcoin, music, all the things that make the world a much better place.
And all those things do make the world a much better place, especially anything connected with Bitcoin, in my point of view, makes the world a better place. It fixes, as the saying goes, Bitcoin fixes everything. Because really, almost everything's broken nowadays, due to the money supply being broken. But give us a little short bio about yourself real quick before we get into the show.
Cool. Well, thanks. So I am a mom first and foremost, and a DJ. And I used to DJ about 25 years ago professionally and tour all over the world with a little group called Valerie and the Vibe Tribe. And I really was always on this mission to make the world a better place with awesome tools, right? And I am a child of the 70s and 60s, and I always thought, oh, cool, how can we have more peace and love and harmony on the earth? And, business and music and technology and nature and all of these things have always been deep in my heart. And how can we deploy these things in a meaningful and strategic way to uplift consciousness and to empower people to be the best versions of themselves? And I discovered Bitcoin 3 years ago, and I have been in the rabbit hole ever since, because I thought originally, ooh, cool, number go up. But then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, this is a humanitarian tool. This is a tool for freedom. This is the tool that the Woodstock generation was missing. And I have been dedicating the last 3 years to becoming a student first and foremost, and an educator and a consultant, and somebody who wants to just get the message of Bitcoin into as many people's hands as possible so that they can have a free, healthy, prosperous, and abundant lifestyle. So, and a happy future for our kids.
Well, that's a great mission, and I believe Bitcoin can take us there. I really do. I always tell people that I think the difference between Bitcoiners and crypto coiners, or something else that we call them in the Bitcoin world, is that crypto people, which there are 20,000 cryptos, one Bitcoin, the crypto people are kind of like stock investors. They just want to buy some stock, sell some stock, buy some stocks. They pretty much just want to make money. That's all they have on their mind, is making money. Now, when it comes to Bitcoiners, don't get me wrong, Bitcoiners, most of them are capitalists too, and they do want to make money, but they realize that with Bitcoin, not only can they make money, but they can change the world. I mean, as we know it today, that Bitcoin can change everything that was destroyed back in 71 when Nixon took us off the gold standard and made our money fiat. I think you'd go with that point right away, wouldn't you?
1,000,000%. And I feel like most of us get involved in Bitcoin originally because it's like, cool, number go up. Isn't this nice? And then all of a sudden we start learning, like, whoa, what is money? I'm a business person. I've started several companies, and I didn't, and I worked at Deloitte and Touche. I have an accounting degree, all this stuff. And I was like, oh, what is money? They never taught us what is money. And so I didn't even understand the difference and how dangerous fiat is compared to a sound money, which is Bitcoin. And I didn't understand the need for separating money from state, and money from a central authority, and humans. And so when I started understanding those things, I was like, whoa, what else don't I know? And what else can Bitcoin solve for? And I think a lot of people, everybody needs to make a living. That's fine. If you want to make a living with trading stocks or trading other things, fine. That's awesome. However, if we are operating on a toxic money system, which we have been, which is this fiat system, we're never going to be able to get forward as individuals and as a world, because of this inflationary money supply that is like, here you go, we're going to go print 40%. And by the way, if you hold a dollar, you just got debased, and we stole money from you because you don't have the same purchasing power, even though you worked X hours to get those dollars in your account. And so when I started realizing that during COVID and seeing this, like, we're 18 months, they printed 40% of the total money supply. I'm like, so that means everything's going to be more difficult for me to buy with the same amount of money that I have sitting in, under my mattress, right? And that is theft. And what's going on right now is theft, and that's disgusting. And so when people wake up to see that that's what's actually happening with our current system, you get like an aha, like, wait a minute, I don't want to be a part of that. How can I peacefully opt out of this violent system that extracts money from me while I sleep without my permission? And so I started understanding a little bit more about how Bitcoin is used as a tool for escaping authoritarian regimes, how Bitcoin is used for people to send remittances in small amounts to developing countries that rely heavily with their GDP on remittances. So middlemen was taking money out. They might get robbed on their way back from the Western Union stores. So I was just like, wow, what else can Bitcoin solve for? And I believe that in order for us to have a peaceful planet for all and for our children, we have to have a peaceful money, and Bitcoin is a peaceful money. And so I'm on a mission to keep learning about boots on the ground use cases, like how are people's lives getting transformed because they're on a Bitcoin standard now, or at least they have access to Bitcoin, and that they can participate in cross-border transactions without being censored, that they can escape from an authoritarian regime with an asset that they can carry. If they can remember 12 words, they can have something that people want when they get to a new country where there's freedom, and not have an unwanted currency. So when I started understanding those things, I was like, whoa, it's magic. It's truly magic. And I want to get this in the hands, hearts, and minds of everyone on the planet. So that's what we're up to over here.
You're really right about, there's several things there we could go into, from just your one statement there. But number one, you're 100% right about knowing the average person not knowing what money is. I had no idea what money was. I made money, I saved a little bit of money, I spent money, I thought what money was, but I didn't even know, I'd never even heard the word fiat. But if I had, it just went one ear and out the other. So my knowledge of Bitcoin, money was so limited. And then you're so right on the theft that's happening to us all. Oh my gosh. It may seem like a long time ago, but in the late 60s, early 70s, my parents bought a 3-bedroom house in South Carolina, a decent city in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, with half an acre of land for $20,000. They bought a brand new top-of-the-line car, not an economy car because they didn't have them, and it was $2,500. Now, it's not that the car in the house is worth that much more today. It's the fact that the money is worth so much less today, and that's what people don't realize. It's kind of like a boiling frog. They've been stealing it from a little at a time, and you don't notice the heat and jump out the pot. And that's the way we are. They've been stealing a little at a time, and we just accept it. That's the way things are supposed to be. I had someone tell me it's good for the economy for them to steal our money. That's good for the economy. So we have been brainwashed into thinking crazy things and thinking that's the way it should be, is that there is always supposed to be. But we're going to take a word from our sponsor right now, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned for more of the Bitcoin Boomer Show. And welcome back to the Bitcoin Boomer Show. Today we're with DJ Valerie B. Love, who really does a great job. First time I saw her in Miami, Lynn B. and I and someone else, someone from El Salvador maybe, we all stopped by a concert that was happening for Bitcoin Magazine's conference, and you were the DJ, and I had not met you yet. And you had lasers going, the music was going, the whole place was going wild partying, and I said, that gal, I don't know who that is, but she puts on quite a show. So I tell anyone who gets a chance to see your show that it's definitely worth seeing. And I'm sorry about my rant there at the end, but you can't get me going on, how much money we're having stolen from us and how we just accept it. During the break, I told Stephanie, we are like the boiling frog. If you put that frog in the water and you turn it on boil, it stays in there till it dies. Or if you threw it in the hot water, it jump right out. And we're like that because they've just been doing it so long to us, we think it's normal. We think it's normal to have 5% of our money devalued every year, or maybe 10% of our money devalued every year, whatever amount it is. They're lying to us when they tell us what it is, because we all know that it's more than what they say it is. But we just accept it. And I've even had people say, it's good for the economy. It's good for the economy for them to steal money from us every year. That's not the way it always was. There was 100 years in American society where the money stayed pretty much like it was. It didn't do much anything. It didn't go, you didn't see a loss in value. So sorry to get me going on that, but that's a real pet peeve of mine, is having our money stolen and then wasted for the most part. If they can.
Exactly. Well,
go ahead.
It's ridiculous, Gary. And I feel like people they're not connecting the dots. There's a lot of politicians out there who say, oh, it's the corporate greed and the corporate profits and all this nonsense. No, it's not. It's the money printer go brr. And so this is where people need to get educated and do your own research and start diving deep into your life. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be somebody who holds assets, if you have a house or if you have something, it appears as though something is going up for you. If you're not one of the lucky people and you're just living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, you're finding that you have to work, instead of 40 hours a week to go buy those 3 bags of groceries at, the grocery store. Now you've got to work 45 hours a week to get those same 3 bags. Oh, and guess what? Now you've got to work 50 hours a week. You're not getting any more for your money. You're earning less. You have to work harder. You're getting less. And it is actual theft. You would never, ever open your front door to the US government and the central banks and go, here, come inside, come to my mattress and go take a third of my cash that's in my mattress. You would never do that. Who would? Nobody. But that's exactly what's happening to all of us right now as we hold a dollar and they keep creating more dollars and getting the pool bigger. You're allowing the government to come in and do that and the central banks to do that. So when you opt into this system and you keep playing the game with this monopoly money, you're playing a game of you're going to lose. And so Bitcoin is a life raft. It's a way for people to get out peacefully. It's a way for them to start understanding radical self-responsibility for your own wealth and future. So one of the premises of, Bitcoin is be your own bank. And that's what's really exciting too, because there are 1.7 billion people that are unbanked on Earth, and they don't have access and they don't have the ability to go to a bank and transact and go open up things so they can have a business or save. Bitcoin is a way out for so many of these people. We in the first world are very lucky because we've had this system that we get to play, but we are the boiling frogs. And so a lot of other countries are hopefully going to leapfrog over the nonsense fiat system and jump right into Bitcoin and start understanding that they can transact cross borders and allow themselves to have an asset that's in their pocket, literally, and in their mind, if they can remember 12 words, and depending on how you want to store your Bitcoin, that is going to increase in value over time. We've just seen Bitcoin go over 52,000 today. I think it's up 20% in a week. It's going to keep going up. It's a scarce asset. People are obviously coming to the table with the ETFs and BlackRock and everybody, and there's not enough. And so it's very get some Bitcoin now. And I am going to tell you to get Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. This is life saving CPR 101 for your future. So it's very, very important that we self-educate and that we try to poke holes into things that don't sound right for us. Go down the rabbit hole. There's tons of people who are out there who are excited to be educators. Bitcoiners are the most generous, coolest, kindest, and smartest people I've ever met. And I've worked with a lot of people in my life, and everybody wants everybody to win. It's a network effect. If we all win, we all win. That's not the case with the fiat system. So it's very important that we do that. And so
Wait, no, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. And when you were saying that about being your own bank, we're not saying be like a bank. We're saying be your own bank. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. I think as Americans, we have been so trained to have someone take care of us and our sloppy habits, to have a bank to call and say, oh, I didn't write that check. Or a bank to call and go, oh, can you give me some more money on my credit card or whatever? And we have a hard time accepting the fact that we're responsible for that. And I always bring this up, having your own bank, being your own bank is a great power. People just who have not moved into the Bitcoin standard do not understand what a great power that is. And as Voltaire said, or some people say Uncle Ben from Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. And people are not ready to accept that responsibility because we've been brainwashed thinking we need someone to take care of our money, that we can't do it ourselves. And we can, but people don't understand that at all, I find. A point you made earlier too, I want to go back to, and I meant to say this right after you said it. You were talking about remittances Many people come to the US to make money and send back to their families, and they send them Western Union.
Yep.
And so they're going to lose like 10% of their money. I mean, 10% just to have some money transferred, which is just someone typing on a computer, give Joe, when he comes in, $500, and they make 10%.
Yep.
And then, let's face it, if your husband's in the U.S. working and you're in Guatemala and your wife comes out of the Western Union office, pretty good chance she might have some cash on her. So that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, she's got a target on her head.
Yeah. With Bitcoin.
And it helps. It fixes these issues. And I think it's such an when people start to really realize, when I hear all of these pundits on, the mainstream media, and it's like, oh, Bitcoin doesn't have a use case. It's, for criminals and terrorists and all this nonsense. Guys, let's do some math, okay? That's not the case. First of all, the Bitcoin ledger is a fully transparent ledger, so you can pay attention to exactly what the transactions are, what's going on. So it's not the best tool for using for criminals. It's not the best tools, for any of that, for terrorists. So Jamie Dimon and I think, how many billions and billions and billions of dollars in fees have they been, and penalized penalties have they had to pay because of all of the things that the banking system has been used for fraud? And don't even get me started on Jeffrey Epstein and his accounts. And so I don't want to hear about Bitcoin being used for terrorists and criminals. Okay. Grandma needs to use Bitcoin so that she can go in her circular economy in El Salvador and go buy ingredients for her pupusas that she's going to go sell 3 for $1 down on the corner. And so those are the people that I'm excited and interested in getting more Bitcoin in their hands and helping them be their own banks, so that they don't have to have that middleman extracting wealth and value, and that they do have an opportunity to participate in a society with a free market. Hopefully, we've never seen free capitalism and free markets. Everything has been manipulated constantly. So I'm curious, how on a Bitcoin standard can we get to a place of what does a free market look like?
Yeah, we have capitalism here, but in the U.S. more so than many places. But it's not true capitalism. It's been warped into all of these things. And your point about Bitcoin being used by criminals, oh my gosh, let's look at the U.S. dollar. Has that been used by more criminals? And we're not making that illegal, and that's used by more than anything. But we'll be right back to go on another rant after these words from our sponsor. So please stay tuned. And welcome back to the Bitcoin Boomer Show. If you're coming in kind of late on the show, I'm Gary Leland, your host of the show. And I do want to ask you to do me a favor. If you know anyone that you think is interested in Bitcoin, would like to have more knowledge about Bitcoin, or should have knowledge about Bitcoin, please share this show with them. You're only doing them a favor. If nothing else, at least they're going to be educated about Bitcoin. So when they do have to make a decision whether they want to get Bitcoin or not, whether they want to buy some Bitcoin or not, they will have some information. So please share this show with your friends. And now let's bring back DJ Valerie B. Love. Welcome back to the show, Valerie. Mm-hmm. Before we go any further, I have a question I ask everybody. According to DJ Valerie B. Love, what is Bitcoin? I get a different answer all the time. Some are close to the same, some are completely different. But what is Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is love.
That was the shortest answer I've had.
How can Bitcoin be love?
Well, explain.
I know most people don't answer that.
No one has. So that's why I say I get different answers. Explain.
I know. Explain. Bitcoin is love. To me, there's more to Bitcoin than just this is a token or a coin or something that is, a number go up technology. Bitcoin is a way of life. It is a consciousness that I think as humans, we all want to strive to be safe, happy, healthy, connected, and loved. And if we do not have a tool that is the glue, every single person on the planet needs to use money of some sort. This is the one unifying thing that we all have in common. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin doesn't care what your genitalia is. Bitcoin doesn't care who you pray to or if you pray. Bitcoin doesn't care who you vote for or not vote for. It doesn't care what color the pigmentation of your skin is. It doesn't care where you are geographically on this planet. All it does is every 10 minutes, it goes TikTok next block and it creates a new unit of itself. It reveals a new unit. They've already been determined, but this is a revealing of it, just like Michelangelo and the sculpture, I set it free, right? And so that's what's happening. And what is happening that I'm seeing is, in addition to myself obviously being an artist and a creator and an entrepreneur, utilizing music and creativity to bring us together, Bitcoin is bringing hearts and minds and souls together like nothing I've ever seen before. Not music, not anything. Even some people don't love all the same kinds of music, right? I've met more people around the planet since I've become a Bitcoiner from all these different nationalities, all these different places. And we've all got this one thing in common, is that we want to make the world a better place for all of us. And this is a great tool. And so I have never seen anything quite like it that has that unifying power. And it's exciting because think about it. The powers that be want you numb, dumb, sick, scared, broke, angry, hungry, lonely, tired, and horny so that they can manipulate and control you. And if they have this tool called fiat, where they can go print money, 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 drop bombs, steal from your mattress, things, that's a way to keep you divided so that they can keep manipulating you and extracting value. When I woke up to that truth, it just activated even more so this peace, love, and happiness warrior within. Now I'm like, whoa, I've got this super tool. This is so much more powerful than the other tools in my toolkit. They go together, right? You need a toolkit to create a home and to create a temple. And so Bitcoin is a tool in the temple of the future of love and hope and peace. And it is the most important thing I think we need to be working on right now as individuals, as companies, as businesses, because when this is all baked into the way that we can operate in our operating system around planet Earth, then we have the opportunity to have more conversations. Because I can tell you right now, if the US government was on a Bitcoin standard, they're not going to go past a $98 billion package to go drop some more bombs on kids. They're going to go, whoa, we've only got this much Bitcoin here in our reserves. And we can't just go print Bitcoin out of thin air and go give it to our military friends so that they can make some bombs and kill kids. That will not happen on a Bitcoin standard. And so they're scared and terrified. They don't want Bitcoin in power because they want to keep their power of being able to go print money. Every fiat, every currency has fallen apart over the history of humanity. And so the dollar is on its way next. I can't just predict exactly when, but it will not be the reserve currency at some point, because you can't keep printing a new credit card to pay the old credit card, to pay the old credit card, to pay the old credit card. And that's exactly what they're doing. We're $34 trillion in debt right now. We've got $1 trillion a year debt payment, and it's not going down. That's is more than our military spending right now. And so it's very important that people start waking up and understanding tiny little steps that you can do to understand Bitcoin and start to touch it, feel it, learn it, spend it, use it, and become a part of the freedom future for yourself and your kids. If you care about your kids, this is one of the most important things you can do, is learn about Bitcoin. And we're all here to help you. Gary's show is amazing. He's been helping everybody around the boomer space and beyond. And so it's very, very important that we support each other, and we're all here. I started Bitcoin for Peace. I have a podcast called Bitcoin for Peace, and I'm just starting a website, and we're going to have some different just consultants and educators that you guys can, talk to. And hopefully maybe Gary will be one of them. I don't know. We'll talk. But I just want to have a list of everybody who's out there who's available to give you the orange glove service and touch and hugs that you need to get Bitcoin into your life. So I'm really looking forward to uplifting more people and helping people onboard in any country. I'm on my way to Portugal in a couple of weeks for Bitcoin Atlantis, which is going to be amazing. So we've got, I'm hosting 3 panels, and we've got some young people on the panels. We've got Ella Huff, who is starting a Cornell University, a Bitcoin club out there. So yay, Ella. Sophia Prince is another young woman who I believe she's a teenager, and she's going to be working and having a whole Bitcoin for young people area there. There's a bunch of us. There's women who are using Bitcoin for human rights. There's women who are using Bitcoin to escape domestic violence situations. There are people who are environmentalists who we're starting to help. I'm helping to onboard some nonprofits and mission-driven organizations so that they can get Bitcoin on their balance sheets. And then instead of having to do project management with boots on the ground, whether you're a business, a nonprofit, it doesn't matter, and then wait for the wires to go, and then wait for the exchange rates that you're missing out. Think about all the productivity in time and the dollars that are wasted in the middleman exchange world that we have right now. If we're on a Bitcoin standard and there's a circular economy for people to utilize Bitcoin when you're sending it to them for their projects and businesses, guess what? You can do this for pennies in seconds, and it could be $1 million worth of Bitcoin that you send, and you don't have to sit and have the bank manager go, well, where are you going to put this, and where did the funds come from? Well, we need to put a 72-hour hold on that. No, Bitcoin doesn't have that. And so that's what's exciting. And so when you get to say like, oh, I want to be my own bank, right? That's scary for people, but go slow, take baby steps, and you will work your way into this and feeling comfortable. It's like anything else. You don't just all of a sudden go, I'm going to go all in on Bitcoin today and put my whole life savings into it. Do it step by step and incrementally, and get to a place where you're comfortable. And if you have questions, there's literally millions of us who want to help you. And we want to help you because we see that this is a tool for the future and for our kids. And so that's what's really neat about this community. My life has been drastically changed in ways that I never could have imagined because of a digital currency. Isn't that weird?
It is weird. As a matter of fact, I told my best friend about a month ago, we were watching a football game, and I told him, I said, Bitcoin has like changed my life, from what time I've gotten into it. And he was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And I was going, well, it's during a football game. It's too complicated to explain right now. But he does own Bitcoin. I did talk him into buying Bitcoin. So back when it was 10,000. So he's very happy with me today, for sure.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, we'll be right back after this word from our sponsor. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back with DJ Valerie B. Love. And welcome back to the Bitcoin Boomer Show with DJ Valerie B. Love. Valerie, something you mentioned earlier, or in that last segment, was about wars. And if we were on a Bitcoin standard, how things would be different. And I agree. If you go back to the medieval times when they were basically having to spend their supply of gold to fight wars didn't last 30, 40 years. I mean, it's like they go, okay, we need to get this done. And after a year or two, they say, okay, well, maybe we can work out a truce because both sides were running out of gold, to finance their soldiers with.
Yep.
But now it's completely different because of the fact we can just print it or add digits to a computer database. We could actually fight a war for 100 years and it wouldn't matter. So you're 100% right that if we had a Bitcoin standard, probably even if we had a gold standard, you wouldn't have wars that lasted like these wars do today. I did notice something getting off that little short rant of mine. I had something else I wanted to go over. I saw on your site something, or your Twitter page, something that was interesting. You have people plus planet plus prosperity plus purpose equals peace. Can you real quickly tell me about that?
Yeah, definitely. So I look at it like a pyramid, right? I think about like what's a strong structure in life. And I think about like this peace pyramid in our worlds. And we need to have these 4 ingredients, right? People need to have an opportunity to be safe, happy, healthy, connected, right? If we don't have healthy people, you'll never get to the top of that peace pillar, right? Or that pinnacle of peace. If we do not have a healthy planet that is taken care of, that's not polluted, that's not raped and pillaged and not nurtured to keep regenerating itself. And you think of regenerative agriculture and farming and ranching. And what's going on right now is we're in an extractive environment with nature, and she's collapsing right under our feet. And so, because mentally we're disconnected and we're not really seeing it, and we're so distracted with all this other nonsense out there, the powers that be are, raping and pillaging planet Earth for their profits. And then it's going to be leaving this desolate place behind for our kids. And so, again, if we don't have that, we're going to see refugees because of droughts. We're going to see people moving around in places where they're just like, we can't live here anymore because we can't grow food and there's no water. So we need to go here. And that's going to cause conflict. So you can't have peace if you don't have a healthy planet. Prosperity, if you don't have sound money, AKA Bitcoin, and you're working on this violent, corrupt system called fiat, you're going to not be able to have peace either. And then purpose, to me, is one of the most important things that I think we all, as individuals on planet Earth, we're all born with a unique set of gifts and magic. And when we can tune into a higher purpose, we feel better as people. So even if we have these other three things, but we're still over here and we're not finding our spiritual purpose, our, depending on whatever you believe in, it doesn't matter, but just you have a unique, special purpose. And so you can never be a internally peaceful person if you constantly have that conflict and you're doing something that's out of the scope of your purpose in life. So I love working with people and clients and thinking like, what is your special sauce that only you get to do on planet Earth? And how can we bring that forward in a way that provides meaning and a living for you? And so those four ingredients, I believe, we can create a more peaceful planet for everybody to participate in.
And now how about tell everybody about your newsletter? You have the Sexy newsletter, I believe it's called. Tell us about your newsletter.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I'm playing around with this, Gary, because, sex sells and I'm sexy and I love being sexy. And I think it doesn't have to be naughty, bad sexy. It's like sexiness is a state of mind. Right. And I think there's so much oppression on people being fully expressed in who they are. And there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of stigma around, being a fully empowered sexual creature. And I feel like, well, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. And so I decided, instead of just having like, okay, we're going to have a love letter or the news, just, Val's newsletter, I'm just like, I want to include some tips in there, just the tip, and talk about Bitcoin on the podcast, have Bitcoin for Peace podcast. And then I invite people to test out some fun little tips and tricks that I share on that newsletter. I'm going to be starting a second newsletter for Bitcoin for Peace that won't have all the sexy stuff in it, but it's going to have a lot more stories of the boots on the ground of the people who are working in Bitcoin, whether you're in, the United States and working at a shelter, whether you're somewhere, doing a nature project, if you're doing a human rights project. I want to talk about the success stories so that people can start to truly understand why Bitcoin is actually being used in all these other places, because nobody knows. Like, people don't get that it is a positive medium of exchange, and that it is a tool for freedom. So I think the more of us like you and myself and all these other creators out there, let's use our voices and our platforms to share these before and after transformations. So, it's one thing to go look at a chart and go, yay, Bitcoin's going up. It's another to go see a person tell their story about, now my daughter has a chance at her future because she's becoming a coder, because she did a Me Premier Bitcoin course and now she wants to go be a Bitcoin developer. So those kinds of stories need to get out and out. And there's not enough voices in Bitcoin as far as I'm concerned. And so, so that's what the newsletter is. And so sign up. You can go to djvaleriebeloved.com and go to Sexiest Newsletter. and subscribe. It's pretty fun. It'll be fun. So I don't know if you've gotten my newsletter.
I did get your newsletter. I did get it. I did get it. Thank you for sending that. Hey, also tell people, we only have about 2 minutes left. Tell people where they can find you, where they can follow you. Give everybody all the information they need for that.
Go to djvaleriebelove.com, and that's all my handles on all social media. So you guys can reach out and say, hey, my DMs are always open. If you ever want to say hello, it might take me a day or two to get back to you, but I always will respond. And definitely subscribe to the show, Bitcoin for Peace. And you can go find the show anywhere on Spotify, Fountain, Apple, all of that, all the normal places. And tell me what you want to hear. And if you've got a story to share, tell me. I want to tell your stories and why Bitcoin has changed your life, and, hopefully giving you a little bit more opportunity for a peaceful existence on our wonderful planet. So, you can find me there, or bitcoinforpeace.org. I'm just starting this website. I'm going to start. Looks like you've got a gap there for some reason. Let me see, Gary, what's on your screen? Where's the button? Okay, yeah, I got to fix that. So I'm not a web developer, so I'm working on that. But sign up for the newsletter there, and I'm going to be helping people get involved in Bitcoin in a more peaceful way. So yeah, and thanks again, Gary, for having me on the show and inviting me the other night for your Monday nights spaces. It's really cool. And I know my interview with you on Bitcoin for Peace is going to be coming out soon too.
Yeah, I had a good time on that particular episode, talking about Bitcoin, talking about the world. Like I said, I like to rant once I get going. I don't know if I did much ranting on that interview, though. I think I was pretty calm on that one. So is there anything else? We got about a minute left. Anything else you want to leave people with before we get out of here?
Get off zero and do it in an easy way. Go do a little micro purchase. There's tons and tons of resources out there. And obviously there's Gary, there's myself, there's, like I said, there's millions of Bitcoiners out there that will help you understand and get off zero. And don't be afraid. Like, we all start somewhere. And so if you're off zero and you're on an exchange, now we're going to help you get off the exchange too. And so we don't want you to be subject to a central authority with your Bitcoin. We want to help everybody understand how to self-custody and be your own bank. And it's truly not that scary. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So
I agree completely. People are so worried about it. Actually, all you got to do is go to YouTube. My gosh, there must be 1,000 or 10,000 videos on how to do it there. So Valerie, thanks for joining us. Everybody else, stay tuned till after this commercial break. We'll be right back after this word from our sponsor for a few closing comments, maybe closing rants. We'll be right back. Thanks. Welcome back to the show, and I hope you enjoyed meeting DJ Valerie Belove. She is a hoot. I really enjoy her. And if you ever get a chance to see her perform somewhere, I definitely recommend it. Stephanie, thoughts on today's show from the producer's table?
Yeah, the producer's table was impressed. I enjoyed DJ Valerie Belove and kind of hearing her perspective regarding how Bitcoin also can be applied to the bigger concept of being better to our planet, better to our, fellow humans. And so that was really cool to see and hear. And I like her graphics. Like, that was really cool. I'm excited to one day see one of her shows. Yeah, she's definitely, and she does all that on her own too. And in case you were wondering, her legal name is Valerie B. Love. She, from what I understand, when she got a divorce, she said, I'm not going to use my husband's name. I'm going to get a new one. So she got Love as her last name, which I think is great. Hey, I do hope you enjoyed today's show. As I say over and over every episode, several times during an episode, our only goal is to teach you about Bitcoin. That's it. Don't have any Bitcoin I want to sell you. But I do want to tell you about a couple of things coming up I'm involved with. Number one is BitBlock Boom. That's a Bitcoin conference. This is our 7th year for BitBlock Boom, and it's in Dallas, Texas. So if you're interested in finding out more about Bitcoin, or you know about Bitcoin and you want to meet other Bitcoiners from around the world, come to BitBlock Boom. Check that information out at bitblockboom.com. Also want to make sure you know about Sats Card Shop.
at satscardshops.com. Sat cards are a great way to gift or give people Bitcoin. If you want to give someone Bitcoin as a Christmas present, stocking stuffer, birthday present, check out Sat Cards at satcardshop.com. And I do some monthly meetups here in Dallas. If you're interested in your local here to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, go to meetup.com/bitblockboom. That's meetup.com/bitblockboom. We usually do at least one monthly evening Bitcoin meetup, and now I'm doing coffees in the morning. So if you want to talk about Bitcoin, come to one of our meetups, that's for sure. Also, follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Gary Leland. That's twitter.com/Gary Leland. Join me. I post all the time. That's where you can see everything I'm up to. Thank you again for watching this show. I really appreciate it. What are we on, season 3 or 4? I can't remember. Season 4, I'm being told over there. So we've been doing these quite a while, and we've had some great conversations. So maybe go back and look at our back catalog or listen to our back catalog. You'll enjoy it. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good one until next week. Remember to stack those sats. Bye.